Hi, this is Trisha from Lemon Paper Lab. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a pattern in Canva. My go-to design program for creating patterns is Photoshop because it has a nice tool called the Pattern Preview tool, which makes it easy to see how your pattern is repeating in real time. But I understand that not everybody has Photoshop to use. Canva is another option when it comes to designing, so I just wanted to walk you through how you can create a pattern in Canva. So let's go ahead and create a design. I'm going to use a custom size here, and I'm going to use 5000 by 5000 pixels, and then just click to create a new design. So let's start by picking some elements. So I'm going to go to the Elements tab here and just search tropical. And then let's try tropical flowers to start with, and then we'll just check them out here in graphics. And then I'm just going to select a couple of flowers here. So I'm going to select this yellow flower. And then a lot of times when you select an element, Canva will show you these kind of magic recommendations to where you can see similar elements to the one you selected. So I also like this pink flower here as well. We'll click back over. And then I'm also looking for a leaf or two. So let's try this leaf here. We can size it down. And then we can click on those magic recommendations, see if there is another leaf that we want to use. And then let's try this more pointed leaf here. So I've got a couple elements here that we can work with. So I'm just going to start by just sizing them down here for my canvas, and then we'll position it. So the first step that you want to do is you want to position your elements on your canvas, but you want to stay within the bounds of your canvas to start with. So let's start positioning those elements. And so I want this yellow one on top. I'm going to click on position here, and you can always select the layers. We'll bring it to the top here. Maybe we rearrange or change the orientation there. Let's grab our red flower. Let's go ahead and duplicate this yellow one. Command or Control D. Make it a little cluster there. I'll duplicate that yellow one again. Command or Control D. And then I just like to create some grouping elements for my pattern. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, let's do the same with the red one here. Command or Control D to duplicate it. We'll get this element, Command or Control D. Orient it around. And then let's reposition it here. Behind it, let's get our red flower, Command or Control D. Let's get this leaf, Command or Control D. Positioning it behind this flower. Okay, and then let's create, we'll duplicate this grouping, Command or Control D. Let's go ahead and make these a little bit smaller so we can get more of our elements on here. Maybe we reorient it a little bit so it's not exactly the same. We'll duplicate this, Command or Control D, position it with our element, and then let's duplicate these again, Shift click, Command or Control D, maybe we put rearrange them here. Grab this leaf, Command or Control D to duplicate it. Then let's position it behind. So we have a couple groupings here, and now we can kind of orient them. So I'm going to move these elements over here for the moment. Let's orient this around here. Let's try duplicating this yellow one just as a freestanding one. Take these two elements, duplicate it here. So just play around with the orientation of your elements. I actually want to add a greenery to that, so we'll duplicate this here. We'll position it behind. And then maybe we reorient these ones so it's not exactly the same. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete these elements here. And then I'm going to just select all of these and kind of bring them down and see if I can't keep them within our bounds here. So once you've started and you've positioned your initial elements, what you want to do is you want to create a rectangle the size of your canvas. So I'm going to hit R on the keyboard for rectangle, and then I'm just going to size it to my canvas here. So my canvas is 5,000 by 5,000. So I just want to make sure my rectangle is 5,000 by 5,000. I'm going to change the color to white, to whatever background color you want. And then we'll create our position, and then under arrange, we can just send it to back there. Okay, and so next I am going to just select all of these elements, and then I'm just going to position it over just a little bit with the left arrow key, and that's just because I want them to be within the bounds of my canvas. I'm going to hit shift click just so I can get it a little bit more, and so now I can see it's within the bounds of my canvas. If you have an element, say that's like too close to the edge, you see part of its bounding box doesn't fit, you would want to, in this step, you'd want to either move it to where it stays within the bounding box or the area of our canvas, or just delete that element at this time, and you can add it back in one of the next steps. So now we have everything where we want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this page. I'm going to click to duplicate, and then we'll go ahead and duplicate it again. So this first one is just going to be our original that we're not going to touch, and then we have these two copies. So I'm going to create another rectangle. So I'm going to hit R on the keyboard, and then I am just going to size it to half of my document here. Using the guides. For some reason it's not showing up. And I'm looking for my guide to show up, but for some reason it's not. So let's go ahead and create some guides here. I'm going to go to File, View Settings, Add Guides. I'm going to click on Custom. I'm going to get rid of this gap to 0, and then I'm going to set columns to 2 and rows to 2 as well, and click Add Guides. So we're going to use that as a reference point. So we have this rectangle. Anything on this side that doesn't fall along this midline, we are going to go ahead and delete. I'm going to go ahead and delete those elements here. Okay, and then let's copy this rectangle, Command or Control C. We're going to do the same thing here. This time I'm going to drag it to this side. Anything that is on this side that doesn't cross this midpoint, I'm going to go ahead and delete. And that is just to help simplify our canvas here. If it is in a grouped element, I'm going to leave it together. But other than that, I'm going to get rid of it. So we can just delete this rectangle. And so let's start here. So I'm going to select all these elements. By default, it doesn't select our background layer. So I'm just going to shift click. And again, you want to make sure all the elements fit within it, and then we are going to group it together. And then I'm going to drag this to the left. I'm going to hold Shift and drag, and it's just going to move to the left until we hit that guide position. And then we'll stop there, and then we'll go back up here. We'll delete this rectangle. Let's group these things together. Shift click to select that background rectangle. We'll click to group it. I'm going to hold Shift and then drag this to the right till I hit that guide, and I'm going to let go. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this, Command or Control C. We're going to come to this layer here, and then we're going to go Command or Control V, and we have our repeated elements here on the side, which are seamless with the ones on this side as well. So we can go ahead and ungroup these elements. And then I'll just get rid of this background. We'll take this background. We'll make it our new background here. We'll hit position and then just send it to back here. Okay, so now we need to continue with our pattern and placing elements. I'm going to take this cluster here, Shift click all the elements, copy it, Command or Control C. And then I'm going to place it, and it's going to cross over the bounding box. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to, we're going to add a page. Before I do that, I'm going to think about how I want it oriented. And so I think I'm going to orient it with the green up here. So let's go ahead and add that page. I'm going to I'm going to paste it, Command or Control V. And then I'm going to orient it the way that I think that I'm going to want it. And then we are going to drag this group. I'm going to actually group it so it acts as a unit. I'm going to drag this group here to the top, and you're looking for those guidelines to appear. So we'll duplicate this, Command or Control D. We'll drag it to the bottom here, and you're waiting for those guides to show up here as well. Okay, and then we'll Shift click. And then we are going to group these elements, and they will behave together. So I'm going to copy this, Command or Control C. I'm going to bring it up into this canvas, Command or Control V, and then we can play with our placement. So we'll see where we want it. Okay. I'm going to try that, and then I might move this element. So right now this one is positioned on top, and so I'm going to send it to back, and then we'll just bring it forward one so it's above our background layer. Let's go ahead and play with these elements. I think I'm going to switch this one and this one here. Okay, and then we have this element. And then let's pick a red one here, duplicate it. Maybe we have a cluster here again. And then I think we'll need another one here. So I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this, Command or Control D. We'll bring it here. Let's rotate it. I need this to come up here. Let's position it to back. We'll bring it forward one here. Okay, and then we'll need to do the same process where we align it. So let's select these three elements, Shift, click. We'll copy this, Command or Control C. We'll go back into this document. We can delete this whole group here, and then we'll paste it here. Okay, so we have this element. Let's go ahead and group it together. We'll get it to align to that side, and then we'll duplicate it, Command or Control D. We'll drag it down. Till it aligns there. And then we will Shift click and group it here, and then copy it, Command or Control C. And then we can now use it in here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these elements here. We'll paste it, Command or Control V, and then we will work in this area to see what we can position here. So now we have everything placed here. I'm going to test this pattern, and to do that you do need to download this file. So I'm going to click on Share, clicking on Download. We'll select just our current page and then click to download it. Once you've downloaded it, go to Uploads, click to upload your file, select your file and open it. Okay, from here let's add a page, and then we are going to look for some guide. Then we're going to look for grid. So I'm going to click on Elements here, just enter grid. We'll go to See All, and then you're looking for the 2x2 one right here. And then we want to make sure spacing is gone, so you'll bring spacing down to 0. We'll go into our uploads, and then we will drag in our image into each of the sections. Let's go ahead and get rid of those grid lines. So we'll go to View Settings, Clear Guides here, and then we can see our pattern. So at this step, you'll want to just check out the visual spacing of your pattern. Is there any obvious areas that are excessively white? In this case, it actually looks pretty good. Potentially, I may want to bring that one down a little bit, but it's actually not that bad. I like the spacing on this pattern, but this is a step that will show you whether you'll need to make any adjustment. So in this case, I don't have an example of where I need to make an adjustment because I think it visually looks good. There's not really any obvious spacing. So let's take another pattern as an example. So this is one I was working on. Let's bring it in. And what you'll notice is there's this kind of obvious white space. So at this step, you just assess your pattern, see if there's anything that kind of sticks out to you. And in this case, I did have to go back and refix at this step here the way everything is positioned a little bit so I can create a better pattern. And so what I ended up after this step, we'll go ahead and duplicate this page. And then what I got with this pattern here, as we can see, I just reoriented this one, moved this one just a little bit. That way we can get rid of that extra white space. Just by repositioning an element, I was able to make this pattern look a little bit better. So this is how you test your pattern. So if we put our pattern that we were just working on, we can see that it looks pretty good. And then in this step also, you may want to zoom in more and just make sure that all the seams look nice, that there wasn't any issue with how we created and connected our different elements. Using the guides, it helps, but sometimes you can get off a little bit on your pixels and things like that. So just zoom in, double check on the seams of your pattern. And so once you have your completed one, if you want to, before we downloaded it, just at size. So if you want to download it for print-on-demand use, when you go through this download step, I tend to work with JPEG when I'm downloading for print-on-demand. Here you'll just bump up your quality, and then you'll just bring your size up to the largest as it can be. We'll select our current page, and then you can download it in its highest file setting. So when I go to select that file that I just downloaded, we can see our resolution here. There's no guarantee that it will always be 300 by 300 pixels, but that's typically the resolution for industry standard. But depending on your print-on-demand provider, what they require for their minimum resolution may be different, but you can see that you have a nice big file. In this case, it is 300 DPI that I can use to put on print on demand for different items, for clothing or for home decor. You have a nice file here. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to create a seamless pattern in Canva. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. This is Trisha from Lemon Paper Lab. See you next time.